Hey, welcome everybody to this session of Cybertech. It's my great pleasure to moderate this session. My name is Yoav Leitersdorf. I'm the co-founder and managing partner of Ventures. We're a $300 million venture capital firm focused entirely on cybersecurity, entirely on seed companies coming out of Israel. And with me is Harry Moseley. Hi, Harry. Good morning. Good afternoon.
Yes. Hi, Yoav. How are you? Nice to see you again.
It's great to see you. Harry, you're somebody who requires no introduction as the CIO of Zoom. But if you can tell us, give us 30 seconds about yourself and about your perspective, that'd be great.
Absolutely. So yes, I'm the global CIO for Zoom Video Communications. I joined the company a little over 2.5 years ago. It's been an amazing journey over that period of time. But when I think back on the last 2.5 years, I joined a startup that was, sort of north of 800 people, private, venture-backed, and sort of known in the tech community, sort of known in the US, kind of known in Europe, not well known in Asia Pacific. And now you fast forward to today, now we're this, sort of public company, went public 1.5 years ago. Everybody in the world knows Zoom. It's quite fascinating how, how Zoom has become like a verb, has become a noun. We're supporting global enterprises. We're supporting governments all over the world. We're supporting the education sector with 125,000 schools in 25 countries on the platform, and we're sort of north of 3,400 employees. When you look at our revenue for Q2 is 663.5 million, which is 355% year-on-year growth. We're supporting over 300 million daily meeting participants, and another metric we look at is annualized meeting minutes, which are now sort of north of 3 trillion. It was 100 billion in January. So it's it's been explosive. And it's been a lot of fun, and it's been very humbling.
Yeah, absolutely. So, since since you and I last met face to face, we've had this onslaught of the pandemic, and just like you said, back then Zoom was just a tool, but now the pandemic has taken over the world. You've gone to well over 300 million daily meeting participants, and Zoom has basically saved us in a way in this pandemic. And you mentioned education, but also business, government, everything. Zoom has become a verb. First of all, thank you and congratulations for this amazing growth and being able to support this growth, which as CIO I could imagine is not an easy task. But within that, there's cybersecurity, which is really the focus of this conference and of today. And what a lot of people are wondering, and what I'd love to ask you is what were the key cybersecurity challenges that your team faced in the wake of the COVID-19 outbreak, and how did you deal with those challenges?
Zoom was built clearly for the enterprise, for great, where there's great IT organizations who, deploy the platform, train their users, set up the right defaults and things of that nature. When we saw the pandemic coming around the world, when we saw the pandemic coming around the world, we gave it away for free to schools. What we didn't understand was that the schools didn't have the right IT, the same IT organizations as great enterprises do, in how to deploy it, how to train their users, etc. That growth went from 10 million daily participants to 200 million and 300 million. And, everybody was like jumping on the Zoom platform, and they didn't have that training. They didn't have those defaults. And so the consequence was that we became a very attractive company for a lot of different entities to review, whether it's review the security, try to hack the platform, try to find back doors, what have you. But there was some fundamental flaws in them. So what did we do? So on April the 1st, Eric Yuan, our CEO and founder, great leader, great visionary, fabulous guy, we made the decision to pivot the entire engineering team to focus exclusively on privacy and security for the next 90 days. And that was, and we became, and we were very transparent on what we were doing and why we were doing it. And we did sort of 5 big things in that 90-day pivot. One was we took the variety of security controls that we had in the platform, and we bundled those together into what we call the privacy shield or the security shield, where you can enable chat, enable content sharing, lock the meeting, eject people from the meeting, etc. Also, as part of that effort, we also established different defaults for different segments. So if you're in EDU, as an example, the default is no one can share. You have a waiting room, you have a passcode, chat is disabled, etc. But as the teacher, you can enable these things for the students. So that was the first big thing that we did. The second big thing that we did was for the enterprise, they could select which geographic region in the world they want their Zoom meetings to be hosted in, plus the fact that you could see the data routing very transparently as part of the portal. The third thing that we did was we released Zoom 5.0, which was an upgrade to AES 256 GCM. The fourth thing that we did was we did an acquisition. We acquired Keybase, which is a team of cryptographers. I'm sure you know the Keybase guys. And they worked with our existing team to build out our end-to-end encryption paper, which I'm sure you read. And that was published on GitHub. It was subscribed to by a variety of different industry experts, legal experts, law enforcement experts, etc. We got a lot of counsel on that. And now we are, this week actually, we will be releasing for technical evaluation the end-to-end encryption service, where you can schedule meetings and say this one is end-to-end encrypted versus this one is not. It's fully encrypted, but it's not end-to-end encrypted. So the end-to-end is the host generates the key and distributes the key then to the participants. So no third party has the ability to decrypt that meeting. So we're very excited about this.
Yeah, and your response was unbelievable, unbelievably positive. The way that your organization has been able to handle those security challenges in such growth rate at such short time is nothing short of amazing. And so, with you having led that effort, I must ask you, we're seeing as a venture firm that's investing only in security, we're seeing the threat landscape increase dramatically with this increased adoption of cloud-based services like Zoom, and just public clouds like AWS, Azure, etc. Anything from infrastructure to applications, and we're actually seeing a significant increase in cybercrime and nefarious activity. And I must ask you, as we look into the years ahead and expect more and more of this type of increase, what sort of security challenges are we going to have as an industry as a whole, but also Zoom as well, if you care to discuss that as well, and how do you recommend the industry deals with these challenges? And again, if you want to provide examples from Zoom, that would be great.
Yeah, so I think the threat landscape has changed dramatically over the last 10 months. Looking to the CIO for one of our clients, 55,000 employees, he's now managing 55,000 offices around the world, because every home has become an office. So you're absolutely right. The threat landscape has changed dramatically. The canvas is enormous. And I think the biggest thing that people, that we need to focus on from a cyber perspective is the home office. I think that's, extraordinarily vulnerable, because you've got, you can't have everything sort of tunneling back in on a VPN back into the mothership, because the network bandwidth, everything coming back in and everything going back out to these cloud services. So, sort of how do you handle this distributed workforce? I think that's a huge challenge, not just for, sort of from a, sort of a Zoom perspective, but it's all the services. Many CIOs have made statements along the lines of, God knows how we would have survived without cloud services. It would have been unsustainable to be able to support the companies, the global companies, without, amazing cloud platforms.
By the way, Harry, does your whole team work from home, and do you use the Zoom platform to work together?
Yeah, so I was just on with one of my colleagues who runs enterprise sales, and I was saying to Jeff, and he was, sort of sharing his strategic plan with me, and I was giving him some feedback, and I made the following statement. Yoav, I can virtually collaborate with you, Jeff. And Jeff is in Philadelphia, and I'm up here in Scarsdale, Westchester. I can virtually collaborate with you better than we could if you and I were in the office together.
We're all very focused on startups. We're a venture firm investing in startups. A lot of the people in the audience are startup entrepreneurs. And I would like to get some advice from you, Harry, to startups on potentially working with Zoom, potentially dealing with the pandemic and this growth in cloud services that we just discussed. What's any advice that you would give to startups right now?
Yeah, so I think that sort of in the I am not a cybersecurity sort of expert by any means of the imagination, so forgive me on that. But I think sort of the advice I would give to startups is, I think, sort of taking a look at the Zoom platform in terms of what we're doing from an onzoom.com, taking a look at things like Zaps and the customized SDK, and how to leverage those tools. I think there's going to be a whole sort of new economy around sort of the onzoom.com and the Zap world. From an onzoom.com, I can see how people will develop cybersecurity programs that could be available for the online professional at home. You think about sort of, a friend of mine who is providing, either sort of mentorship or training one-on-one over Zoom. Well, what are the things that he or she need to know from a cyber perspective? How do they protect themselves? So I think the whole home virtual working from anywhere model is going to be massive globally. Won't work for everybody, won't work for some cultures, but it's going to be huge. And people are going to be questioning whether it's a, sort of somebody like, an 82-year-old who just wants to connect with family and friends. How can they, sort of ensure that they're being secure in protecting themselves in this new virtual world? So I think that that sort of strikes me as an area. How can I ensure that I'm practicing good hygiene from a cyber perspective, working from home in my small practice? Things of that nature. I suspect that might be an interesting avenue to explore.
Great. Well, Harry, we're just about out of time. I'd like to thank you again for participating in this Cybertech interview. I wish you a great rest of the day, and looking forward to staying in touch.
Absolutely, you have pleasure to be here and privileged, and great to see you and talk to you.
Great to see you as well.
I just wish that we can, sort of get out and about and do these things in sort of more in person in the not too distant future.
Hopefully we will. Thank you, Harry.